It's like it thought it was in a parking lot auditioning for a role as the world's most unexpected speed bump. The house on this sharp turn looks absolutely stunning, but it's also as perilous as a beauty queen walking a tightrope in high heels. The man driving the three-wheeler decided to play daredevil by intentionally crossing the railroad barrier. Luckily, his tiny trike was just short enough to dodge a collision with the train. Today, a truck carrying oil spilled a bit on this road, turning it into a slip-and-slide extravaganza for all the vehicles passing by. It was like an impromptu skating party for cars and trucks. The giant inflatable tube hitting this truck was a result of both sides not paying attention. It's a classic case of oops, my bad. When this red truck backs out onto the road, it's essential to have someone on the ground providing guidance and signaling. It's like having your own personal air traffic controller. But for ground vehicles, it's like a cute little love tap from the truck to the bus, a bit startling but causing no harm. That white car really messed up by hastily trying to turn right without noticing the big truck right behind it. It's like they were playing a game of dodge the truck and didn't even realize it. This stretch of road is notorious for trucks losing their brakes. It's like a magnet for brake failures. Trucks just can't seem to keep their brakes on. The red truck managed to stop in time, but unfortunately, the green one inside wasn't as lucky. It's like a game of musical chairs where one person ends up without a seat. That tree has been lurking around for quite a while, just waiting to menace that white car. It's like nature's version of a prankster, playing hide and seek with vehicles. That truck recklessly overtook the bus, leaving the oncoming truck with no choice but to dive into the ditch. It's like a chaotic game of musical chairs, but with vehicles and ditches. The green truck should slow down to let the other truck pass, because a little patience now saves a lot of trouble later. Let's watch both camera angles of this collision. What do you think? Was it the truck's fault or the car's fault? Comment below. Perhaps because it encountered a red light, the red truck abruptly stopped, catching the truck behind it off guard and unable to react in time. The cab of this truck was almost completely smashed to pieces, but luckily, the driver came out unscathed. This truck was in the middle of repairs when, out of nowhere, it decided to take itself for a stroll. The reason? The driver, in a moment of sheer brilliance, forgot to pull the handbrake. I counted no less than 9 cars being transported by a single semi-trailer truck. It's like a clown car act at the circus, but for vehicles, how they all fit on there is a mystery worthy of a detective novel. The load on this truck looks like it could tumble out at any moment. It's like a game of Jenga on wheels, just waiting for the next bump in the road to send everything flying. Just 5 minutes ago, this truck was a picture of strength and resilience, and now it's lying on the road with a heap of grain spilled out from its rear. Talk about going from tough guy to the clumsiest grain dispenser in record time. The driver of this oil tanker forgot to engage the handbrake while refueling the rear container, leading to 2 unfortunate outcomes. This sharp bend on the mountain road is quite slippery, so vehicles should take it slow to avoid ending up like in that video clip. That white pickup truck clearly didn't look ahead before entering that intersection. At the moment the green light is about to turn yellow, drivers should slow down gradually instead of trying to speed up like in that video clip. When navigating the highways, little cars should give big trucks some breathing room. This car-carrying truck is so long it needs a runway just to make a turn. Drivers better ensure they've got enough space to swing. This hefty truck, carrying a hefty load, lost control and toppled over on this curved stretch of road. Thankfully, nearby drivers swiftly played hero and rushed in for a timely rescue. It's like something out of an action movie. The truck driver miraculously dodged not one, but two disasters that came crashing down almost simultaneously. It's clear this load is too much for that truck bed to handle. It's like trying to fit an elephant into a clown car. It just ain't gonna work smoothly. To avoid the black car, instead of braking, the truck suddenly changed lanes and ended up encountering another truck. It's like trying to dodge a puddle and jumping right into a pond. The owner of this white car seems like a hot-headed and easily agitated person. This man on the bike clearly wasn't paying attention while cycling like that. Luckily, only his bike got damaged, serving as a gentle reminder for him to be more cautious next time. This young man on the bike innocently crossed that intersection before the light turned green. It's like he was on a joyride through a rainbow of traffic signals. When you're speeding and lose control, you'll end up like that car in the video, out of control and heading for trouble. This car took a leap off a surprisingly high concrete curb, but behold the masterful maneuvering skills of the driver. It was like watching a stunt from an action movie, complete with an unexpected plot twist and a graceful landing that could earn applause from even the most skeptical audience. This car lost control, but luckily, that concrete curb saved it from taking a dip in the river. It's like the curb was saying, "Not today, river. You're not getting this car." The driver of that silver car veered over the line into the opposite lane, creating a chaotic dance with the truck. Both the truck and the silver car tried to dodge each other, but ended up playing an awkward game of chicken, swerving in the same direction and colliding head-on. The man driving the truck blissfully sped through the iron gate, completely unaware that the bed of his truck was raised high, like a salute to the sky. Carefully consider. In the video, the truck is running a red light. Just a slight, sudden brake. Under the impact of inertia, the steel coil placed behind the freight car rolled down to the front cabin and touched the ground. No wonder there's a saying in the freight industry, the poor don't care about being hungry. This illustrates the dangers of transporting steel coils. When slippage occurs during the transportation of steel coils, the steel coil weighs over 10 tons. In an instant, it becomes a heavy object on top of a high mountain. If not done correctly, lives will be at risk. Or watch here. Some people will ask, because laying the steel coil horizontally is very dangerous. Then just stand it up straight. Actually, manufacturers and freight forwarders have considered this issue, although it is safer to place the steel coil upright. But it also brings many inconveniences and losses. To know that steel coils weigh several tons, even over 10 tons. When loading and securing them to the truck, cranes or professional forklifts are needed to fix and operate the core. If laid flat, it will be very troublesome. Secondly, steel coils often flatten during transportation. They deform or wear due to impact on the truck, especially aluminum coils and special steel coils like cold rolled steel and galvanized steel, which require high integrity when used in production. Sometimes they can be as thin as 0.1 mm due to wear. As a result, the steel coil does not meet standards. Thus, the cost of a driver's hard work may not compensate for the damage. And one more reason that everyone overlooks. Steel coils, during the manufacturing process, are coiled into a circle. After reaching a predetermined length, a few more wires are added to tie it on the outside. If the steel coil is laid flat, in case the outer fixed wires, when the truck is bumpy, suddenly breaks, the tension in the steel coil will be released immediately. This will affect surrounding vehicles and pedestrians. It is a potential danger. Certainly, addressing the cause of trucks being prone to accidents when transporting steel coils. Some truck manufacturers produce specialized trucks for transporting steel coils with recessed card slots on top. It can improve the safety index. It can also increase the transport volume. However, this type of specialized truck can only transport steel coils, and its price can be very high. Therefore, truck drivers cannot transport steel coils many times, spending a lot of money to buy a truck just for carrying steel coils. But in life, sometimes you just have to accept the risks. As people often say, if there is no burden on the body, who will bet on tomorrow? Finally, I just want to remind drivers, when carrying goods, drive as slowly as possible because safety is paramount. The red car suddenly darted across the road, forcing the fast-moving truck to slam on its brakes. The cargo piled up behind surged forward towards the cabin, but luckily, the truck driver remained unharmed. At first glance, it looked like the black car's 180-degree drift was going to be perfect, but the grand finale was more of a blooper reel moment. It seems like the truck driver hasn't glanced at his rearview mirror in ages. He still hasn't noticed that one of the back doors of his truck has swung wide open. In a classic display of stubbornness, neither of the truck drivers would yield, turning the intersection into a bumper car arena. The result? A spectacular three-vehicle pileup. That excavator is definitely not strong enough to hold back a fully loaded dump truck. It's like expecting a toddler to catch a runaway shopping cart. The truck, overloaded with a mountain of awkwardly stacked steel frames, completely ignored its newfound height and barreled through the pedestrian bridge. The result? A cringe-worthy crunch as it hit the underside of the bridge, giving the pedestrians above an unexpected heart-pounding thrill ride. Right off the bat, those beer crates were stacked so haphazardly that as soon as the forklift lifted them, they wobbled and unexpectedly toppled over, transforming the concrete road into an impromptu beer shower party. This white vehicle was zooming along at quite a clip, perhaps having a moment of distraction that led to the driver momentarily losing control. Noticeably, that bright orange car blatantly ran a red light at that intersection, probably mistaking the green right turn signal for their cue to go. The truck driver made a serious mistake while turning, failing to check their surroundings properly, which unfortunately made the white car the unwitting victim. During construction, a sudden flood swept in, submerging many heavy-duty equipment pieces in water. The red oil tanker exhibited lightning-fast reflexes, narrowly escaping a potential collision that could have resulted in significant damage. The black car, in its eagerness to turn around, decided to do a spontaneous dance move across the lanes, completely oblivious to the approaching truck. The heap of soil packed tightly behind the cargo container made lifting it to a certain height a precarious balancing act for the truck. The tires on this truck were so worn out, there was no saving them, they were beyond redemption. The white car's serious mistake ended up damaging not just one but two cars nearby and one ahead of it. A gentle nudge, combined with some good old-fashioned inertia, sent the silver car flying into the air like it was auditioning for a spot in a circus act. The driver of this mini electric car performed an artistic, professional-level drift on the slick, rainy road, narrowly avoiding that motorcycle with the precision of a ballet dancer on wheels. This man is desperately trying to hold onto his truck, which is slowly inching its way down the cliff, in a futile attempt to stop it. Pay attention to the red car, which suddenly decided to change direction as if it just remembered it left the stove on at home, completely unaware of the truck looming behind it, like an impatient T-Rex. The white car lost control and went careening onto the sidewalk, but thankfully, those trees were there to play goalie and save the day. This truck had to swerve to avoid hitting a pedestrian crossing the road, resulting in a collision with the oncoming truck. Talk about a pedestrian causing major traffic drama. This guy managed to topple the entire stack of goods on the right side, then hastily jumped out of the forklift without securing it, almost losing the whole load in the process. It was a textbook case of oops, forgot to hit the brakes. Right from the start, I could see this shaky brick wall coming a mile away. Sure enough, it ended up exactly as I predicted. The red truck narrowly avoided a spectacular rollover crash, lucky for sure. This guy stepped out of his car and forgot to pull the handbrake, resulting in a runaway vehicle. Luckily, that nearby utility pole played goalie and kept the car from making a guest appearance on the highway. The mission to rescue this truck, submerged in floodwaters and precariously tilted, was a Herculean task that tested the skills and patience of a seasoned team of professionals. With the truck partially submerged, every move had to be calculated and precise to avoid worsening its already precarious position. Using a combination of winches, cranes, and excavators, they carefully maneuvered around the truck. The main challenge was to stabilize the truck to prevent it from shifting further or sinking deeper into the mud. With each attempt to lift or shift the truck, the rescuers faced the unpredictable nature of the floodwaters and the weight of the cargo inside. As the forklift arrived, two men joyously celebrated, forgetting they still had to handle that stack of goods themselves. It was a classic case of premature celebration meets imminent heavy lifting. Two cargo-laden trucks collided, spilling their contents all over the road and creating a traffic jam that stretched for miles. It was like a messy highway yard sale, minus the bargain hunters and with a lot more honking. The white car ventured right into the blind spot of the truck. The white car next to the truck wanted to overtake it, but just as it was about to, a yellow car appeared coming from the opposite direction. The white car up ahead didn't notice the black car crossing the road, likely daydreaming about winning the lottery or something equally distracting. In this case, both cars managed to mess up in their own special ways. The white car was too busy daydreaming to see the black car crossing, and the black car apparently thought it was invisible. Both cars simultaneously decided they were superheroes and attempted to overtake the truck ahead in a lane narrower than a hot dog bun. Both cars had their vision obstructed by that meddling taxi, causing a dual case of "I didn't see that coming." It seems like this car didn't have the patience to wait for that one to pass by. Both cars were taken by surprise when the motorcycle zoomed past. The Audi managed to brake in time, but the car behind didn't quite make it. Despite the white car in front hitting the brakes like it just saw a ghost, the car behind resembled more of a sleepy sloth than a speedy roadster. It couldn't quite keep its distance or react in time. That motorcyclist took a bold detour into oncoming traffic and had a light collision with a car. Due to the slippery road, this car couldn't brake in time, despite proactively hitting the brakes earlier. Two mini cars bumped into each other, making the collision feel lighter than a feather pillow fight. The Audi up front seems to have lost its rear-view camera and sensors, backing up as if it's auditioning for a reverse driving show, completely oblivious to the car right behind it. This Audi seems to be in the same boat, missing its rear-view camera and sensors, backing up like it's starring in a reverse driving comedy, unaware of the car right behind it. In a few moments, when the owner of this concrete mixer truck arrives, he'll realize he's lost an important shoot. The truck, laden with steel bars as seen in the video, needed to ascend a steep hill. To prevent a potential accident, a wheel loader ahead cleared the path and used a rope to tow the truck. The truck, laden with steel bars as seen in the video, needed to ascend a steep hill. To prevent a potential accident, a wheel loader ahead cleared the path and used a rope to tow the truck. Because of that unstable dirt road, the sand-laden truck decided to take a nap on its side, completely ignoring the shovel's feeble attempts to wake it up. It took a whole team of excavators to lighten its load and coax it back onto its wheels, turning what was supposed to be a quick trip into an overnight adventure. Who would believe that? Just because of a simple turn that shouldn't have happened. The unfortunate female driver was hit by a dump truck. There were 40 tons of yellow sand that fell down. In this case, unless you are driving a tank, it's just a chance to survive. When the traffic police and rescue team arrived, at that moment I realized the car was completely crushed, and inside was indeed a female driver. But what's very strange is her husband standing nearby without saying anything. But the situation now is very urgent. The firefighters rushed to perform rescue steps without hesitation. But by then, all the yellow sand from the truck had spilled onto the car. They had no rescue tools, only shovels to slowly dig, despite her husband also rushing in to dig with them. Later, the police discovered that the man was indeed her husband. But the sad news is that she had just given birth at the hospital, and coincidentally, that moment was her first day back to work after maternity leave. The surprising thing is that this happened on the first day the husband and wife drove two separate cars. The husband went ahead, the wife followed behind. The initial journey was not smooth, but after a while the husband realized his wife was missing. Feeling strange, he quickly turned back, and he found his wife buried under the truck. Now unsure of life or death, the husband quickly dug with his bare hands. Thinking of the newborn baby losing its mother, this family won't know how to live. So I hope those driving on the road will always drive as safely as possible for yourself and for everyone around you. The driver of the reversing cement mixer was completely oblivious to the fact that there was a truck right behind him. At first glance, it seemed like the driver of the three-wheeler had lost control, but in reality, they expertly dodged the parked car with impressive skill. It was like watching a circus act, leaving you wondering if they secretly moonlight as a stunt driver. The red truck was carefully crossing the road, but on the other side, the white truck seemed oblivious to what was ahead. This white car seems to be driven by someone who's still green behind the ears when it comes to driving. The white car made a serious blunder that led to consequences. A package fell off a truck right in the middle of the highway, but luckily another driver pulled over, jumped out of their car, and swiftly removed the package from the road. It was a heroic move to avert potential danger for those driving behind. The man standing on the street called for a crane to come to the rescue, but to everyone's surprise, when the crane arrived, it promptly veered into a ditch and toppled over. Now they need to bring in yet another crane to rescue the first one. High on earth are the people on the hill dumping rocks and water down? The black car, for some reason, stalled and came to a halt in the middle of that highway lane, posing a serious danger to vehicles behind it. Fortunately, drivers in the rear spotted it from a distance and managed to swerve in time to avoid a potential collision. It was a close call that showcased the importance of alertness and quick reflexes on the road. For some mysterious reason, this crane decided it wanted to explore the depths of the lake, plunging straight to the bottom. The rescue teams had a monumental task on their hands, struggling to attach the cables to another crane positioned above. The whole scene was quite the spectacle as they began to pull it out. It looked like they were using a massive fishing rod to reel in a gigantic whale. You half expected to see a catch of the day sign go up. The tanker truck hastily switched its turn signal, catching the car next to it completely off guard. It was like a surprise plot twist in a movie, but with more honking and less popcorn. Notice the skid marks on the road from the truck's brakes over there clearly. There was a sudden event earlier that left this truck teetering on the edge, like it just narrowly escaped a cliffhanger moment. The wheel loader lost control and plunged straight into the ditch, prompting the need to call in a crane to hoist it back to civilization. It was like a clumsy giant taking an unexpected dive into a swimming pool. The red truck had a stroke of luck, as it teetered dangerously close to tipping over a cliff, but a sturdy tree miraculously caught it, preventing a disaster. Later, they had to bring in an excavator and a wheel loader to rescue the truck from its precarious position. It was like nature itself decided to lend a helping hand in this unexpected roadside drama. This forklift couldn't handle the weight of those steel plates. The bus driver is a seasoned master with years of experience under their belt, skillfully navigating the bus across that narrow bridge. It was a hair-raising moment, but they made it look like a piece of cake. The truck on the left was tilting and slowly tipping over, but luckily, there was another sturdy truck nearby for it to lean on. It was a precarious situation turned fortunate thanks to some quick thinking and nearby assistance. Let's delve into the mishaps of these colossal cranes. Maneuvering them requires exceptional skill and precision. akin to mastering a complex dance routine with tons of steel. One wrong move and they can tilt precariously or even topple over, creating a scene that's both awe-inspiring and nerve-wracking. These incidents highlight the critical role of highly trained operators who navigate these behemoths through tight spaces and challenging terrain, ensuring safety and efficiency amidst their formidable power. The white car, completely oblivious to the truck's blinking turn signal, innocently sped up and overtook it right in the direction the truck was trying to turn. Due to the slippery road, the concrete mixer slipped and skidded away like a penguin on ice. This mountain road was experiencing a significant landslide, and a man successfully rescued his wheel loader amidst the chaos. The slippery road made the black car's reckless maneuver to pass the cars ahead quite a spectacle. However, it left the oncoming tanker truck in a state of confusion, resulting in a heartbreaking outcome. If that white car could speak, it would probably scream in absolute terror and tension. The white car stopped at the red light, but the truck behind it wasn't paying attention and failed to slow down in time. The truck lost its two front tires on the highway. It decided to embark on a quest to find their rightful owner. Unfortunately, it was mistaken by another truck along the way. The truck driver was so engrossed playing with their child that they forgot to engage the parking brake, causing the truck to roll freely and crash straight into the gate of the house opposite. In this unfortunate case, the truck endured double heartache as it suffered damage both at the front and rear, all caused by its own actions. Watch out, the traffic light is about to change. This moment is quite delicate as you try to speed up, just before it turns red. That three-wheeled vehicle suddenly changed direction, catching the mini electric car behind it off guard. This shiny new white car, for reasons unknown perhaps due to a dispute, found itself forcefully relocated by the workers here, using rather assertive measures. When towing another vehicle like this, it's advisable to have someone in the towed vehicle behind the wheel to steer. Noticing that the oil tanker had overturned and spilled its contents all over the road, the car tried to pass through. However, the road was now slicker than an ice rink, making the attempt quite the slippery adventure. These cars unintentionally maneuvered the truck into a precarious predicament, leaving it in a bind. This Honda Civic tried to beat the yellow light to avoid waiting for another red, but in its rush, lost control. As the tanker truck was cruising down the highway, its tire suddenly blew out, causing it to swerve unexpectedly. The truck's cab was completely engulfed in flames, and despite everyone's best efforts, putting out the fire seemed like a lost cause. The car behind the police vehicle was tailgating so closely that it didn't have time to react, ending up in an unintended bumper kiss with the car in front. In an effort to create space on the narrow road for oncoming vehicles, the truck ended up with its wheels slipping into the ditch. It spent the entire day teetering precariously over the edge. This truck got into a collision and ended up tilting on the highway. A kind-hearted driver rushed out to assist the truck driver in safely exiting the vehicle. This black car inexplicably burst into flames while on the road, prompting bystanders to grab fire extinguishers from their own vehicles and rush to help extinguish the fire. It's a testament to the spirit of solidarity and quick thinking in times of need. This tree-watering truck inadvertently passed by a burning car and ingeniously used its water-spraying capabilities to extinguish the flames on the car. Talk about multitasking in unexpected situations. Both the truck and the white car were as stubborn as mules at that intersection, neither willing to give an inch. This little truck stubbornly squeezed into that narrow alley, balancing on just its two rear tires like it was auditioning for a circus act. The truck suddenly decided to turn into a bonfire and had to pull over on the highway. In a display of highway heroics, a bunch of good-hearted drivers stopped, whipped out their water bottles, and teamed up to douse the flames. It was like an impromptu firefighting flash mob, with everyone pitching in to save the day. Thanks to the help of these three men, the truck managed to escape a precarious tipping situation. It was a real-life action scene where teamwork saved the day and the truck stayed upright. This tugger wasn't quite beefy enough to haul that excavator up the steep slope, and the consequence was a comical tug of war where the excavator ended up dragging the tugger back instead. This truck has sunk so deep, it's practically auditioning for a role in quicksand. That truck on the right clearly went for the gold in the reckless driving Olympics. When approaching that intersection, it should have slowed down and let the red car make its turn. This is the world's first convertible truck, making heads turn everywhere it goes. This man forgot to pull the handbrake on his truck, and as a result, the truck decided to throw a spontaneous alarm party for its owner right after. This orange car generously decided to return control to its driver after executing a wild U-turn. Notice how the traffic lights switched from yellow to red, and while the white car stopped as the law dictates, the truck didn't pay attention to the traffic signal and couldn't hit the brakes in time. This truck managed to snap that concrete utility pole in half like it was a toothpick. That black car decided to breeze through the red light because the road seemed deserted, but little did it know, the fiery truck on the left was charging forward. Perhaps the driver of this white car is a rookie behind the wheel. The slippery road and an overly enthusiastic driver caused that steel frame to collapse like a house of cards. This was a prime example of creative teamwork, with the two forklifts pulling off a perfectly choreographed routine to squeeze into the back of that truck. It was like watching a circus act, but with heavy machinery, pure comedy gold. This truck had an internal tire fire that left it with a broken axle, giving it the look of a lopsided shopping cart on its last leg. The road was covered in so much dirt that its surface turned into a slip and slide, completely losing its grip. It was like trying to drive on a banana peel. This truck got itself stuck in a snowy dirt road sinkhole, but luckily, a nearby excavator was ready to swoop in and save the day. To conquer this steep hill, you'll need some heavy-duty equipment for backup. That excavator was in full acrobatic mode, teetering on the brink of a cliff like it was auditioning for a daredevil stunt. Thank goodness the other excavator was quick to lend a helping arm and prevent a gravity-defying tumble. This road is barely wide enough for two trucks to pass each other without a squeeze. If one car tries to cut in between, it's like trying to fit into your favorite jeans after Thanksgiving dinner uncomfortably tight. This truck got itself stuck in a vegetable patch and had to call in an excavator to rescue it from this muddy predicament. This forklift got itself wedged in here, probably needing another vehicle to push it out instead of attempting to use that wooden board. This wheel loader was borrowing the truck's power to move along, but at this point it lost connection and autonomously sought connection with another vehicle. The truck lost its brakes and careened onto the emergency lane. Despite severe damage to the cargo bed, the driver emerged unscathed and calm. The exhaust pipe of this truck acted like a cannon, shooting air right at the poor guy standing 30 meters away. While this truck was cruising along the highway, its cabin suddenly caught fire. The owner rushed onto the road, and luckily a nearby excavator operator was quick to use the mud it was scooping to throw into the truck's cabin, swiftly extinguishing the flames. Notice that the traffic signal is green only for turning left, while it's still red for going straight. It seems like the truck driver didn't quite catch that detail. It's as if a superhero leaped down onto the truck's bed, leaving a giant dent in it. Looks like today was just not the lampposts or the truck driver's day. The poor lamppost probably woke up this morning thinking, "Ah, another day of standing tall and shining bright only to end up tangled with a truck." Whether it was brake failure or the truck driver's insistence on pushing forward despite everything, they ended up bumping into that white car. Despite the ample width of this road, it's baffling how this concrete mixer truck ended up careening into that ditch. The rescue effort became an all-night affair, requiring the relentless teamwork of an excavator and 2 cranes to finally hoist it back to safety. It's as if the road decided to challenge the truck to a game of hide and seek, and unfortunately for the truck, the ditch was the hiding spot no one expected. This white car made an illegal lane change by hastily crossing the solid line, putting the truck in a position where it would likely regret not reacting in time if it didn't. The truck zoomed through the intersection faster than a lightning bolt. Despite preparing for the scenario by calling 3 people to climb onto the forklift, it still wasn't enough. The tanker truck was eager to beat the yellow line and accelerated through that intersection, but when you're driving heavy machinery, slow and steady wins the race, at least in theory. The geological mystery of this road managed to create a sudden sinkhole so large that it nearly swallowed half of the truck. This is a situation that many drivers encounter frequently, overtaking another vehicle while their forward visibility is obscured by another overtaking vehicle. It seems like the person loading dirt into this truck forgot to remove the latch from the back cover. This white car stalled and had to stop in the middle of the highway. Let's count how many cars managed to sneak past it. The tanker truck made a serious mistake by attempting to reverse on a one-way street. That car merged into the lane without checking its side mirror, right where the truck was driving. Instead of maneuvering into the open gap, the concrete mixer truck squeezed towards one side, causing its rear tires to get stuck. There was a concrete block in the way, blocking the truck from maneuvering. The driver cleverly arranged it to create a ramp, allowing the truck to drive over the block smoothly. Underneath this bridge, vehicles enjoy a free, artificial rain shower. Looking at these forklifts, they don't seem heavy enough to make the trailer sag like that. The operator of this heavy machinery is incredibly experienced and a true master of the craft. Even though the truck's cabin is almost completely crushed, the driver inside miraculously escaped without a scratch. The tanker truck lost control and veered into the ditch, creating quite a dramatic scene. It took a tremendous amount of effort and an array of heavy machinery to finally lift it back out. The whole operation was like watching a well-coordinated ballet of cranes and tow trucks, each one playing its part to rescue the wayward tanker. It was an all-hands-on-deck situation, with everyone sweating bullets until the job was done.
前面，乱了！哎，我操！乱了！行了，乱吧！行了，别停，乱！你乱也行了。好，拿活。
The truck careened off the guardrail, causing a massive traffic jam that lasted for hours while the rescue team worked to retrieve it. It turned the highway into a parking lot, with drivers stuck in their cars, probably wishing they had packed more snacks. The tanker truck lost control when a three-wheeler suddenly darted out in front of it. The unexpected appearance of the smaller vehicle threw everything into chaos. The truck sustained significant damage to its cabin. This mini excavator, with its powerful and extendable arm, managed to climb up this road all by itself. The truck carrying imported bananas went up in flames, burning all the bananas in the rear cargo area. Despite the mishap, a rescue vehicle is currently assisting in safely transporting it to a secure location. Well, this truck must have felt like it was past its prime for climbing up here, so it did what any self-respecting vehicle would do, ditched its front axle like a lizard sheds its tail, leaving it behind in a don't need this anymore kind of moment. The truck climbing onto the flatbed trailer didn't miss the chance to give the guy below a good scare, a real oh my moment. That rogue tire in the middle of the road seems to be on a mission to reunite with its truck. It looks like this vehicle suddenly lost its brakes, forcing the driver to abandon ship when stopping just wasn't an option. This guy, after parking his car in the emergency lane, forgot to close the driver's side door when he got out. As a result, he ended up with one less car door. The man driving this out-of-control black car on the highway is either a wanted criminal or was on some kind of joyride with a little chemical assistance. This truck probably had a serious case of electrical issues, resulting in its cab going up in flames while cruising down the road. This guy was wrestling with his tire when he suddenly noticed a bulge that made him bolt away like it was a ticking time bomb. This white Honda Civic inadvertently became the casualty of a freeway fender bender frenzy. This bridge seems to have been patiently waiting for the concrete mixer truck to roll onto it, just so it could play a game of collapse or withstand the weight challenge. This roller backed up with such enthusiasm that its wheels seemed eager to climb right over the excavator. This pickup truck decided to park right in the blind spot of that big rig. Talk about finding the perfect spot to disappear. The driver of this reversing forklift went the wrong way with one wheel still on the slope and ended up doing a not-so-graceful flip. The owner of this car quickly switched to reverse gear to dodge that tanker truck just in the nick of time. Smart move. This truck seems to be in such a rush, it can't wait even a single second longer. This truck, clearly feeling invincible, decided to defy all logic and back up on this one-way highway to turn around, showing off its ridiculously oversized length. Why on earth was this house allowed to have a second-floor extension sticking out so much that it turned that poor excavator into a limbo champion? At first, I thought the driver might have messed up trying to squeeze through the gap between those two concrete blocks, but then he pulled out a nifty little gadget. This blue truck suddenly decided to take a detour and went for an unexpected swim in the ditch. This truck just decided to take a spontaneous nap on top of this hill. This pile of bricks decided to fly apart when the truck suddenly changed its mind about the path. Four trucks and a car decided to play bumper cars on the highway. It was like a synchronized dance of metal and rubber. But hey, amidst all the twisted metal and flying debris, the silver lining was that everyone walked away without a scratch. The hydraulic arm of this self-dumping truck decided to do some yoga and bent itself 90 degrees after a little dirt dumping mishap. The green truck down there, under crane care, decided to take a flying leap over this railing for a quick dip below. These two trucks must have made a pact to go on a thrilling adventure together and ended up taking a simultaneous plunge into the roadside ditch. It was like they synchronized their misfortune for maximum impact. Above all else, safe driving should be our steadfast commitment, not just a guideline but a principle etched into every journey we take. It's not merely about navigating roads and traffic, but about safeguarding the lives and well-being of our loved ones and all those sharing the journey with us. Every time we buckle up and start the engine, we carry a responsibility that extends beyond ourselves. It's about respecting the rules of the road, staying vigilant, and anticipating potential hazards. Whether it's adjusting our speed to road conditions, signaling clearly, or yielding when necessary, these actions collectively contribute to a safer driving environment. When we drive with caution and consideration, we not only protect ourselves but also contribute to the safety of our communities. It's a shared responsibility that requires mindfulness, patience, and empathy for fellow drivers. By maintaining our vehicles properly, avoiding distractions, and staying informed about road conditions, we can significantly reduce the risk of accidents. Ultimately, safe driving is a pledge we make every time we take the wheel, a promise to prioritize life and safety above all else. Let's drive with care, mindful of the impact our actions can have on others, and ensure that every journey ends safely for everyone involved. This man forgot to engage the parking brake when he parked his car on the side of the road. As a result, the vehicle rolled away freely and lost both its doors. This man just removed a tire from his truck, unknowingly giving it the perfect opportunity to quietly sneak away. He didn't realize his tire had vanished until much later. That white car thought it could sneak past in the emergency lane, but ended up getting a friendly nudge from the truck into the guardrail instead. This truck was cruising along when suddenly the cargo in the back caught fire. Luckily, being a local, the driver swiftly steered straight into the nearby fire station. The firefighters sprang into action and quickly extinguished the blaze. This heavy loaded truck was speeding through a sharp turn with its bulky cargo when it lost control and toppled into a parked car in someone's driveway. Luckily, everyone was safe. This man's truck broke down in the middle of the highway and he got out to signal the traffic behind. Unfortunately, just as he stepped away, another car collided with his truck. These two trucks collided because they were obscured from view by the truck in front of them. That black car clearly made a serious mistake trying to exit the highway after missing the turn-off. There's a sinkhole that swallowed up to 2 meters, and it had the audacity to trap this concrete mixer, falling right into Mother Nature's sneaky little trap. The operator of this excavator decided to make a dramatic exit, jumping out of the cabin and leaving the excavator to slowly tip over into the forest. The driver of this tanker truck, for some reason, was always rushing on the wrong side of the road. He ended up getting a ticket and a trip to the police station. After losing its balance, this truck tried desperately to steer back to stability, but after a few comical attempts, it just couldn't manage it. The driver of this truck forgot to latch the back door of the cargo hold. Even though a quick glance in the rearview mirror would have shown it, he kept driving for some reason. He only discovered the mistake when he scraped a parked car along the way. This truck drove into some seriously deep water, almost transforming into a submarine on wheels. This truck lost its brakes, but luckily an emergency escape ramp was there to save the day and prevent a disaster. I held my breath in suspense, hoping that rock would land inside the truck bed instead of crashing outside and nearly flattening the excavator's cabin. The red truck was a bit startled when it saw a container truck in an fail on the other side of the road. I don't understand why that concrete mixer decided to move into the inner lane and attempt a risky overtaking maneuver around the other vehicle. The driver of the truck, attempting a U-turn, accidentally missed seeing the fire hydrant right there on a day when it seemed like the whole world was waterlogged. For some mysterious reason, this truck decided to reverse without checking behind, causing a bit of unexpected chaos. Both vehicles were clearly lacking in observation skills while navigating through traffic. That black car should have observed from afar before attempting to cross this stretch of highway. When driving these containers, it's better to go slow and steady instead of rushing ahead. Our trusty truck thought it could conquer the off-road adventure, but alas, one tire had other plans and decided to sink into the mud, staging a protest against its workload. So there it sat, the truck looking forlorn like a kid who lost their ice cream cone. But fear not. Enter stage right the heroic Excavator, with all the swagger of a construction site superhero. With delicate precision and maybe a touch of showmanship, it swooped in like Batman saving Gotham, deftly extracting the truck from its muddy predicament. Cheers erupted from the nearby cows, who were probably betting on how long this spectacle would last. And thus, with a few laughs and some mud-slinging banter, the day was saved, proving once again that in the world of heavy machinery, sometimes all you need is a good excavator and a bit of luck to turn a sticky situation into a muddy masterpiece.
你别动！你别动！这个咋样的挪压钩机？咋的？捞不捞出来？掉。还行是不是这救援？啊？
This wheel loader was obscured by a pile of logs in front of its bucket, but seriously, did the driver not hear that persistent horn honking? This black car caught fire underneath the engine for some reason, so the driver cleverly rushed to a nearby gas station to alert the staff. The gas station attendants promptly assisted in finding a safe parking spot and quickly brought out fire extinguishers to put out the flames in time. The white car hesitated for a moment when the traffic light turned yellow, but the truck behind it was more decisive. The oncoming truck kindly yielded to the misplaced truck stuck in a deep rut obscured by grass below, which unexpectedly caused it to tip over. After colliding with the guardrail, this white car stalled in the middle of the highway. Fortunately, the drivers behind reacted swiftly and managed to swerve around it before rescue teams cleared it to the side of the road. This car built up quite some speed going up the hill and couldn't manage to steer in time around this sharp bend. The driver of this truck with a crane accidentally forgot to lower the crane all the way, resulting in a traffic light-free intersection for the day. For some reason, this truck burst into flames on the highway, setting its cargo ablaze. Thankfully, a toll booth up ahead helped the driver stop safely and call the firefighters, who managed to put out the fire. From the start, this guy should have used that big rock to block the roller's tire. Do you guys think so too? Leave your comments below. This road collapsed due to erosion from underground water, and this unlucky truck happened to drive over it just when it was weakest. The driver of this truck probably had a split-second nap on the road, catching them off guard and causing them to lose control. This white car seemed to want to exit onto the right lane to escape the highway, but realized it missed the turn, so it stopped and decided to turn around. The driver of this truck, carrying dozens of dairy cows, had a steering malfunction, preventing them from maneuvering wide enough to make this sharp turn. This truck tire completely tore apart, exposing its inner tires and tubes for all to see. This truck lost control, but luckily, after a few wobbly moments, the driver managed to regain their balance. The overloaded truck was teetering dangerously close to tipping over, but fortunately, some helpful drivers rushed out to assist and managed to pull it back upright. Let's delve into the world of these mischievous and somewhat less than charming tires, causing chaos on our roads and messing with traffic like unruly troublemakers. They're the pranksters of the pavement, turning innocent drives into unexpected adventures and leaving a trail of puzzled drivers scratching their heads. Let's explore the comical yet unfortunate incidents where excavator operators found themselves on the receiving end of their own machine's mishaps. In these moments, there's a mix of surprise and maybe a bit of disbelief as the operator realizes what just happened. It's like a practical joke played by the very machine they control. Fortunately, in most cases, it's more startling than harmful, often leaving the operator with a bemused expression and a lesson learned about the importance of precision and awareness in operating heavy machinery. I've never seen an excavator hoisted this high before. It's like it's trying to get a bird's eye view of the mountainside. This rectangular manhole cover, made of concrete, gets smashed by truck tires like it's made of crackers. These folks were quick thinking, stacking wooden planks to create a makeshift bridge for the wheel loader to descend from the transport trailer. Three trucks transporting a colossal wind turbine blade had to squeeze into the inner lane because that blade took up both lanes. Talk about a tight squeeze. The truck transporting concrete electric poles lost control and plummeted into a ditch in Tibet, China, turning an ordinary road trip into an adventurous detour. This truck almost had its axle snap between the cargo bed and the chassis frame underneath. After being loaded with dirt, this truck encountered an obstacle and got stuck under the dirt road. Fortunately, a nearby excavator quickly came to the rescue and freed it. This patch of land caused a row of parked trucks atop the hill to collapse. Have you ever seen the underside of a truck like this before? You can easily infer that the driver of this black car is a woman who could use some improvement in her driving skills. The driver of this white car really ought to think about taking a driving refresher course. This truck lost control, probably because the driver dozed off at the wheel. This road, though it appeared solid, was significantly eroded beneath the surface, making it a perfect trap for that truck to fall into. In a moment of sheer clumsiness, the white car managed to hit the gas pump, knocking it over and igniting a massive fire. The staff had to become impromptu firefighters, working frantically to extinguish the blaze. This truck was cut off by a car that showed complete disregard for other drivers. This concrete mixer truck fell victim to a road collapse. Maybe we can blame those troublesome groundhogs. This truck made the dangerous mistake of reversing on a highway, endangering the vehicles behind it. The police later fined the driver for the offense. The first mistake came from that green bus over there. You can see the pipe from the truck behind has slid forward and is now pressing against the cabin of the truck in front. The white hesitation to switch lanes to the right caused a truck to swerve and turn right to avoid it. Unfortunately, the truck behind couldn't react in time. This is what happens when you follow the vehicle in front too closely. This three-wheeler wobbles like a tipsy penguin whenever it tries to make a sharp turn, thanks to having only 3 wheels. If that white car decides to cut off the three-wheeler, it will be game over, with the three-wheeler ending up on its side. From a distance, you can see a massive plume of black smoke. But up close, you'll find dozens of new cars being transported, all engulfed in flames. This is a prime example of why tailgating on the road is dangerous. If something goes wrong, you won't be able to brake in time. This truck was incredibly fortunate not to tip over in such a precarious situation. It somehow managed to wiggle out of that tight spot without flipping. This red truck is precariously positioned between the concrete road and a ditch. It took a lot of effort and some serious maneuvering to finally get it out of that tricky spot. You can clearly see these two trucks collided head-on, straight into each other's cabins. This building is being demolished by excavators, and it seemed to wait politely for the excavator to clear the danger zone before collapsing. The cabin of this green truck is almost split in half by that wall over there. This red truck, tasked with hauling heavy equipment, found itself in a difficult situation on a rough dirt road. Its wheels dug deep into the uneven terrain, making it tough to move. Despite efforts to free it, the truck resisted, causing considerable strain on the towing equipment. Eventually, after a tense operation involving multiple attempts and a heavy-duty towing cable, they managed to dislodge it from its predicament. The ordeal highlighted the challenges of navigating such terrain with large vehicles, requiring skillful maneuvering and robust equipment to overcome unexpected obstacles.
这个斗子是白瞎了啊，这有点裂了，真的不行啊！把家里那个原厂斗拉过来了，那个没用过的斗子。把那个原车的斗子换上了啊，原车这斗子没怎么用，还厚一点钢材啊。这个斗子是白瞎了。 这玩意儿是挺粗啊，赶小孩胳膊粗来的有时候。看看能不能拽出来啊！一个车真拽不出来。
This excavator found itself in a difficult situation when its chain snapped while navigating through a waterlogged puddle. The heavy machinery sunk deeper into the muck, immobilizing it completely. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, a team of operators quickly mobilized 2 cranes and an additional excavator to assist in the rescue operation. The first challenge was securing stable points of attachment to the stranded excavator without causing further damage. With careful coordination and precise maneuvering, the cranes positioned themselves strategically to begin the delicate process of lifting the excavator out of the mire. Thick ropes and sturdy cables were carefully looped and secured around the excavator's frame, ensuring a firm grip before any attempt to lift. As the cranes exerted their immense strength, the operation proceeded slowly and methodically. Mud and water churned around the excavator as it resisted being pulled free from its muddy trap. Multiple attempts were made, each requiring adjustments in angles and distribution of lifting force to prevent strain or imbalance. Throughout the painstaking process, the operators maintained constant communication, adjusting their strategy based on the shifting conditions of the terrain and the weight distribution of the trapped excavator. Hours passed as they persevered through setbacks and challenges, their determination unwavering. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like it. And if you subscribe to my channel, we would greatly appreciate it. See you next time.